are back again, gentlemen. We are still in season 2. Seems like we just started, but welcome, guys. Good afternoon. Happy Sabbath.
Good
Yes,
afternoon.
happy Sabbath, happy Sabbath. Just want to welcome everyone to the show. Listen, we had a wonderful time last week. My
Yes,
goodness.
indeed. Hey, listen, before we go any further, this is the point, the last 2 weeks in season 2 where we've had buku echo.
Oh yeah.
I see David Hunt in the in the chat. He's saying praying the mics are working this week. No echo. Hashtag no echo Jesus. So are we
Yeah.
hearing any echo? Any feedback today? Anybody? Echo, yay, nay? How are we doing? I'm looking,
Well,
Well,
waiting,
listen.
praying.
well, on my side it sounds good. No, it sounds good on my side, so I don't
Sounds
know.
good.
Yeah.
All
I think
right,
we're
all
good.
right. Think we're good today. Well, blessed be the name
Mm.
of the Lord.
Yes.
All right, so gentlemen, how's the week been? Listen, how'd it go last week? What'd you think about last week? Last week we were dealing
Last
with
Goodness.
Gen. Which one were we in?
We were
Z,
Gen
Gen
Z.
Z.
Gen
That's right,
Z,
Gen Z.
Gen, Gen
It
Z.
was
Listen.
off
Last
the chain.
off the chain.
Off the chain,
And now
yes.
is that a word? Listen, is that a word from the Generation X man, or is that?
Yeah, I don't think they know that one.
But it was a great episode last week. Listen, my Gen Zers were watching it, so you know it
Awesome.
had to be good for them to watch it. And in fact, they went back and watched the Millennials. I think they gave us a great perspective on the viewpoint from the Gen Zers. So I enjoyed last week.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it
Awesome.
was good to hear from the Gen Zers themselves, and
Yes.
which was there were moments I really had to hold on to my seat a little bit with some of the comments, but
Oh, the
uh,
comments were crazy last week, man.
they were. I'm talking about no, but I'm saying from the Gen Zers,
Yeah.
but it was so real and unfiltered that I was just blessed by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, good. Well,
And
I'm
on the
talking about
chat.
y'all in the chat. That the
Yeah.
comments there.
Oh,
Wow. I was like, whoa. Hey, but listen, before we go any further, we want to thank those of you that have joined us today. We need your help one more time. You did an awesome job with us last week in helping to share the stream. We need you to do that again. So if you hit that like button, hit that share button, get this out because and especially you want to not if sharing it is one thing, but if you know a parent, if you know a teacher, a children's ministry director, adventurers leader, pathfinder director, anybody that's dealing with children's ministry, because we're dealing with Generation Alpha. That's our youngest generation that we have right now. That's what we're going to be talking about. So we want you to get those shares out, share it, tag somebody that you know needs to hear this because we've got some awesome conversations going to happen in regard to that today. So if you would help us out with that, that would be just awesome. Um,
And listen, we also want our viewers to know, keep on chiming in on the chat. We want to hear from you. In fact, your perspective and the things that you put on the chat is helping us on the show, is really helping us to develop some of these
Absolutely.
questions. So keep on doing it. Keep on doing it. We like to have that type of input and engagement from our viewers.
we also
Listen, guys, today, I know we have an exciting show. But I do have to tell our viewers today about 4:50 or so. I'm going to have to leave out. I'm trying to practice what we do here on the round table, and that is keeping ministry real, relevant, right? So I'm going to be leaving out of here. We're actually doing an outdoor church in the evening, and we have some people here in the community that are coming by. CEO from the hospital. We're going to talk about breast cancer awareness. You see, I got a little pink on today. So it's breast cancer awareness, and then also talking about COVID-19, and we have some praise and worship. And so we're just trying to practice some things that we do here on the round table. So again, I apologize, but at 4:50 or so, I'm gonna head on out.
Oh, we're gonna miss you, my friend. But we're gonna cherish the moments that you're here with us. We also want to welcome and thank those who joined the Facebook group for the Pastors
yes.
Roundtable. We are actually gearing up to make some strong engagements in the group. Matter of fact, in 2 weeks we'll be giving away a gift to those who are in the group,
I'm in the
and
group.
yeah, and we are looking at not just giving away a gift card. We're talking about actual resources that you can use to do literally what we're doing right now. Matter of fact, our co-host in the middle, the man in the middle, did an awesome job at the Society of Adventist Communicators
Oh,
this Monday, or no, this Thursday.
Thursday.
He did a great job in representing, talking about how to stream, what we do here. He did an excellent job. I was so proud. I joined to just cheer him on. I learned a few things. And I just want to say, Pastor Paul, it was an awesome opportunity to hear what you have all stored up inside of you. I don't know if New Hope knows what they got, but
My
you
Lord.
surely shared with us, at the wider audience, how we can get ministry moving out there. So thank you so much.
Hey, and I just got to put a special shout out. Thank you for that. But, we couldn't do this without you, my co-host, and of course our audience. But I just want to shout out the Society of Adventist Communicators, period. That is just such a ridiculously awesome resource that I don't know if enough people know about. So we want you to go and look that up. This year's content was huge. It was phenomenal, relevant to the context in which everybody's having to communicate ministry now. So maybe at the end we'll put a link up to their website on our page so you can go and check them out. Just some great stuff. A real shout out to the team that pulls that together. So thank you so much for that. Bryant Taylor, some of you guys know he was our communications guy here in Southeastern for a while, and now he's working and leading out that team. So thank you all so much for that. All right, so Raj, we talked about a little bit what's on the table. We're talking about Generation Alpha. This is the Generation series. We've been really digging into generational theory. I learned that at Society of Adventist Communicators. That's the term. It's generational theory.
Generational theory.
Generational theory. So as we're talking about generational theory, we've been walking through the generations. So we're at Generation Alpha today. That's what's on the table. But Roger, tell us who's at the table today.
Well, I tell you, we are just excited to have three top-notch Generation Alpha gurus, if you please. We're covering the gamut again of our church structure. We have with us from the North American division, the Children's Ministries Director, Sherri Uhrig, who is here with us. I have the privilege of working with her, and she is a dynamite Children's Ministries leader, but she understands children. She loves children, and she eats, sleeps, dreams children. So we're excited to have her here. We also have with us a colleague of mine. Well, we were colleagues when I was in the South Central Conference, but she is there, the senior pastor of the First Church of Seventh-day Adventists in Springfield, Tennessee. She is a video online. She has her own show herself online, but she's also a parent and a pastor. So we're going to get that perspective from Tina Carriger, who is here with us, who's here with us. And we also have with us the Children's Ministries Director from the Southeastern Conference in Florida.
Southeastern.
Shout it out. Southeastern Florida. We are so glad to have Pierre Francois with us. Also a parent of Generation Alpha. So we are going to really get to the heart of the discussion today.
All right. Well, hey, let's have a word of prayer. Let's jump in. And Dr. Henry, would you start us off, man?
Let's pray. Oh, Father, we are so grateful for the opportunity to learn more on how to better minister to our people. And we ask, God, that as we begin this discussion this afternoon, that you will bless, that you will give us a lot of engagement from our viewers so that we can be effective. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right. Well, before we jump to that first question, Pastor Tina, we've been doing this for the past 3 weeks or so, or 2 weeks. You had a little introduction there, but we're going to give you 30.7 seconds to tell our audience anything that you think they ought to know about you that we didn't cover. And your 30 seconds, what did I say? 7 seconds? Start now. Go for it.
My Lord, my heart is racing with the timer. So my name is Pastor Tina Carriger. I pastor the First Seventh-day Adventist Church in Springfield, Tennessee.
Not the second one.
Yeah, not the second one.
The first one.
The first one.
All right. You good?
I'm good. You gave me 35 seconds, so
Oh, okay.
there it was in 10 seconds.
Got it. Dr. Sherri, we're passing it to you. We're
All
going to
right.
give
So
you.
does that mean I get some of Tina's seconds?
Go for it. You got it. You got 40.78 seconds.
Well, hello, everybody. It's good to be here, especially talking about this subject, which I'm very passionate about, especially these alpha generation, as some people call them. They are right now at the age where they want to and have a desire, and it's in their DNA to say yes to Jesus.
Come on.
And so we are here to disciple this generation to make a huge difference in this world.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. Pastor Pierre Francois, you've got 20 points. He's a preacher, so I'm saying he's a preacher. I know. I'm playing. Go ahead. You got 30 seconds, man. I'm
going to start like this. As I close, or before I take my seat. Well, I am. Yes, I'm the parent of two Gen Alpha kids, and I'm not here to share. I'm here to learn because I don't know what to do with them since we're locked in homes today.
Yes, say that, Pastor. Say that.
Somebody tell me what to do with these kids.
Lord.
Oh, can I jump in right quick? I do want to say that going back to your about the whole guru thing. I am like Pastor Francois. I am not a children's pastor, but I am a pastor who has children. So definitely not a guru. I just know from my kids' perspective.
All right, that sounds great. Well, we're so glad to have each of you on the show, on the program today. Before I start with the first question, I'm going to ask our audience, those of you who are watching, I mentioned it earlier. I know some more of you have joined since I said it. I'm going to say it one more time, and I'm going to say it a little different. If you have somebody that you can recall was instrumental in shaping your formative years when you were in this age group of these alphas, and we're going to tell you what that age group is, but somebody in your younger years was just so instrumental, somebody besides a parent, we want you to shout that name out in the text. If you just type that, who was that youth leader, that choir director, that usher, children's usher leader, the children's ministry leader, Pathfinder director, adventures director, who was that person that just had a huge impact on you? We want you to type that in the chat, whether you're on Facebook or whether you're on YouTube. We want to give them some love this afternoon as we jump in. So here we go. Number one, first question out of the gate. We know, to our guests, we know that there are sociologists, educators, marketers create names and profiles for the different generations, such as builders, boomers, Gen Xers, millennials, Gen Zers, and now alphas. What is the missional value, if there is any? What do you think is the missional value that these designations and profiles have to the Seventh-day Adventist Church? Why are they doing it? What's the point? Is it helpful?
Well, it is helpful to listen to research. And even if it is marketing research, it is helpful because they're doing all the research of projecting where the next generation is going. And so we can look at that and say, now, how does that translate to church, or how does that translate missionally to leading our children to make a decision, first of all, to follow Jesus, and then what to do with that afterwards. And I could see that, Pierre, you had something to say.
Well, this is the most marketed generation of all time. They're going after these kids, and they can't read yet.
Mercy.
And yet they're being marketed to. They don't even know what the product is, but they identify it, and somehow money disappears out of my pocket to purchase a product that they don't even know how to use.
Yes.
Or apps that they don't know how to use. And so there's a lot of information. There's a lot of information that's out there that is useful to know. At least I need to know how my enemy thinks so that I know how to prepare myself. Additionally, I need to know what's effective for them so that we know how to reach them with a just cause, and that is the gospel.
You know, I want to piggyback off of Pastor Francois because I think it was a couple of years ago, I created some children's Bible studies for this particular age group. Because when my kids were making decisions for giving their hearts to Jesus and looking at what was out there, either A, things were, for much older kids, or B, there was a lack of representation. But one of the things that I had to wrestle with in terms of the marketing aspect is, we have to, just like the secular companies dumb down their products in order for our kids to receive them, we have to be able to, I don't want to say dumb down, but make it bite-sized so that they can be able to receive what God would have for them to receive. And if we put as much effort into making it, making the gospel and our beliefs attainable for their age group, which is possible, they will actually receive that. The world puts effort into that. We also have to do the exact same thing.
You know what? I like what you said. Putting effort into the product, putting effort and making sure that once we create that product, or once we create that ministry, that we take time to do it so that our young people can understand and gravitate towards that. I think that's an excellent point that you made. Just a follow up on this question, how do we do that? How do we do that? How do we take that effort to really understand how to make this gospel appealing for our young generation?
I think that the first thing that we have to do is be willing to change. We have done ministry a certain way for so long, but it's not the same way anymore now. In fact, now we have a ministry like we've never had before. We have a whole generation of children that do not know what it's like before technology.
Wow.
I mean, they are in technology. And so we have to be willing to make that change. And a lot of people are not willing, saying that our children need to learn the way we learned. And but that's not the case, because that's not the way they're wired. Yes, there are some things that they need to, that our kids still need, like generations of children. We need to go outside and play. That is something that's very important. And we need to go into God's second book, which is nature. But there is still that technology piece that we need to understand. And we need to know how to use it wisely in order to reach this generation of children. Not necessarily immerse ourselves and our programs are only about technology, but we do need to understand what they're talking about when they say, when they talk about the game Fortnite. What does that mean? What is that? What is that? And so we need to understand technology from their point of view too.
If I may say so, I also think, along with change, going back to that investment, like Disney spares no expense. Kellogg's and General Mills, they spare no, Mattel, they spare no expense. And it's going to cost a great, because that's what we're competing against. Our kids are looking at those things. That's where they're coming to us and asking us for our money. So that, like, they are sparing no expense, and we can't do this cheaply. The reality is it's going to cost money. And we struggle with placing our dollars into situations like that.
Can I chime in on that? So I went to this ministry convention, and there was this youth minister who was presenting, and it was somewhere around April, and he said, by a show of hands, how many of you already have your Memorial Day weekend program planned? And a few hands went up. He says, well, how many of you have your 4th of July program planned? And maybe 1 or 2 hands. And you're talking about a hall that held maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people. He says, well, how many of you have your back to school planned? And nobody raised their hand. You know, how many of you have your Labor Day? And he just kept going down the list till he got to Christmas. And then he looked around. He says, oh, you guys are rookies. He says, because the movie industry has your children's curriculum planned out for the next 8 to 10 years. Absolutely. Contracts have already been signed Budgets have already been allocated. The location has already been set. The script is being finalized, and they know every single step. They're about to usher your children down spiritualism, usher them down all kinds of manner of doctrine that you don't agree with. They're ready. Why aren't you ready for the stuff that's coming down a couple months from now?
Wow. That's so interesting. But let me ask you now. So, what ages are we talking about now? I mean, we just said young people. What are the ages that we're talking about? This alpha generation. What are the characteristics?
So the alpha generation was born in 2010. So that means that they're about 9 or 10 years old right now. The oldest of the alpha generation, if that is the designation that they're going to keep. They don't come of age until 2020 to 2000. Right now, they're coming of age up until 2030. So I'm sure that name will change when we see exactly where they're headed, though we can project right now that they're definitely headed out of this world with technology, because it just exploded in 2010. So the alpha designation may not stay. They may be called the robot generation, because that is where they're headed.
Awesome. And just to add to that, we don't know where the cutoff is. We don't know for distinctly. Hindsight is 2020, where we start to see the change in the changes in behavior to distinguish them from the Gen Zers. So could it be 2010? Could it be 2009? And really, that's of no real value. The real value is to know that this group is distinct. This group is unique, and we cannot assume our former success will give us future success.
That's right. That's right. Those numbers are very fluid in no matter what generational study or era you're in. They're very fluid. But you're right, very distinct. And I would even, I just wonder if we're having a great big huge culture shift right now.
Right now, that's
with
right.
This generation. Yeah. Because this is just amazing what they are being born into and being gifted with.
Hey, 2020 is going to be a marker for something somewhere along the way. Ain't nothing been like 2020.
Right.
Wow. I think even for all the generations, we have 5 generations that are living right now, and every one of those generations are being challenged by 2020 because of COVID. Mm-hmm. And the alpha generation is the question. The question for me is, as a leader in this church or as a leader of young people, what is so unique about this alpha generation that we may be missing? You talked a little bit about what the way we grew up, the Gen Xers and the Boomers, and we can't use that same ideology with the alpha generation. What are some of the characteristics that we need to think about other than just technology? Because there are many things that are setting them aside. What are some of the other things we need to look at for this alpha generation?
Well, like the Gen Zers, and Pierre, I'll hand it right over to you. Like the Gen Zers, you know, their personality was defined as dominant and pessimistic. And I do believe that last time that we talked, we heard some of that. And that's not a negative at all. Not a negative. And we'll probably talk about that more with this generation. But this generation picks on that dominance and that pessimistic attitude or that personality. Pierre, I know that you had something really good to say.
So my kids gave me, I guess, validation of what I've read about this generation. They don't care for scripted anything. They get marketed to so hard that they don't want a prepackaged, a canned approach. They don't want a one size fits all. They need something that's authentic. So right. I remember we thought it was just like major upgrade when we got cable and we got Disney Channel, and Disney Channel was a premium channel at the time. And so this was just like awesome when I was a kid. But with my kids don't watch television like ever. Ever, to the point where there's no TV service in my house because nobody's watching. My kids will watch YouTube all day, every day. No script, no lighting, no microphones, no nothing. It's just reality TV, whether it's a kid with the phone or an adult with the phone doing whatever it is that they're doing. That's what attracts them. And it's interesting. They want authentic. Because they've been hit so hard with scripted and canned everything. They don't want that. So imagine the implication from ministry when if we come with them with a scripted approach, if we come with a canned approach, and all of our answers seem like a fantasy world of spirituality instead of this is a hard decision kind of reality. If you don't present a realistic approach, they're going to tune you out quickly.
Wow.
Pastor Tina, I know that you have some alphas there too. We saw one last night, one of the alphas there last night as we were doing our production thing. What do you think about all of this? I mean, are your children the typical alpha generation, or are they, different?
No, I think I agree with everything that Pastor Francois is saying. My kids also are, and it makes literally no sense to me. They, YouTube, and I'm like, why are you watching someone playing with slime? Like, what in the world? Why are you just drifting off into a land of just slime videos? Like I mean, that's what they're zoned into. He's right. They don't want anything canned. They want what they deem to be real, and though it makes no sense to me, it keeps them entertained. I don't have cable either, but I sure enough have the Disney Plus app, and they are just like all into that as well. So I mean, I have a 9-year-old, I have a 6-year-old. I had to think there for a moment, and then I have a 3-year-old, and so I am learning a whole lot during this time.
Hey, I heard that Slime Kid was a millionaire already. The slime, the YouTube channel where they're just doing slime stuff. Oh, kid, millions of dollars just because your kids are watching.
Millions of subscribers and millions of views per video.
Yes, wow. It literally makes no sense. And then they want to try to recreate that joint at home. They want to make the slime. Do you know how many blazers I have ruined because these kids want to try to make some slime? I'm just saying.
My Lord. I have a nephew who is big into TikTok, but his dream job is to be a TikTok producer.
Oh my.
He is not looking to be a rapper. He's going to be a TikTok because he's going to make money from there. I'm like, my goodness, so that's what our alphas are looking at right now.
So my question now is, with all of this knowledge, we know that the marketeers are out there and they're marketing some theories and perspectives that they want these alphas to have. How do we as a church now, we kind of have an understanding of what's happening out there and how these kids are fascinated with things that some of us didn't even have when we were growing up. I'm telling my age now, right? I mean, YouTube wasn't, but as a church now, as we minister to the alphas, how does that information, what we just talked about, help us so that we can minister more effectively to our alpha generation?
I think that Pastor Tina actually has, nailed it on the head when she was talking about the Bible studies for children this age group, not having that. And so she created something like that because this age group of children are smarter, younger. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. They know more than you and I probably know about technology at a younger age, at their younger age. And so they're leaders. These kids are leaders. They need to be treated as leaders and discipled as leaders. And that's just part of their DNA and their personality is and I don't want to pigeon everybody into a little box or anything, but this generation is showing themselves to be leaders, just like that person you were talking about, the slime one. I don't know if that's the same young man that already made his $1 million before he was 5 years old, just by unpackaging toys and talking about the toys, the newest toys out there.
Toy reviews, yeah.
Yeah, toy reviews. I mean, is that amazing? So yeah, YouTube is where our kids are at.
Okay, I got to put this in there. I know I don't know if you were going to say something, Rod. I got to put this in there now. Sister Sherri, you said something. You said something there that just, I mean, wow, I'm blown back with what you said. You said they need to be treated like leaders. I'm thinking of a 9-year-old, 8-year-old being treated. What does that mean? They could come to the church board? Does that mean they have to be, if they're baptized, do they have now access into the business meeting? You got to let me know. How do we treat 9-year-old? Because some
Sherri.
people are very hesitant of that. Some people are very hesitant. They're very, you're a child, you need to stay. A child should be a child. But when I became a man, right, I put away childish things. So how do we treat them? Because I think that's an awesome concept.
Come on, Sherri.
That is super awesome, and Tina and Pierre, you can chime in too. Just look at last week's presentation on the Gen Zers, and those kids were leaders that were there that were of the Gen Z generation. They were leaders, and then that's who our Alpha generation is looking to as examples.
That's right.
And should they, everything should be age appropriate, of course. We don't want our kids to grow up sooner than they need to. But should they be treated as leaders? You bet they should be. Wow. They should not have the menial jobs in our church, or they should. It's like maybe what I'm saying is they should not have just the unimportant jobs in our church. Mm-hmm. They will rise to that leadership when we give them jobs of responsibility. Tina, and Pierre, you are the gurus because you have kids this age.
Well, I think the numbers testify for themselves that we have millionaires who can't even drive a car, millionaires who cannot read.
Right.
You follow me? But they are creating content. They're managing a brand. They've mastered marketing. They know what content is relevant to their audience. They know how to market and promote it. They've learned all of these skills. Not only that, they're surrounded by a tidal wave of information. So yes, at the moment's notice, he can't read. However, he can still fact check you because when he asks Siri will give him an answer.
Yes.
Alexa will give him an answer. You follow what I'm saying? Right. So their potential is outside of the paradigm that we used to measure progress. We used to, you had to be in a certain age to show maturity, and by pass a certain grade to show that you've mastered a certain level of content. Well, my son is doing computer programming now. He's still in middle school. It's the whole game has changed. Right. And I think it's even worse now that we're in a, and I'm sure this is going into another question, but now that we're in 2020, we're going to walk right into this post pandemic world where we've taught a great number of parents and children we don't have to be in the building to learn. Which means I don't have to wait for the year to complete for me to pass this grade and go on to the next. There's going to be a certain acceleration of finishing school, or forget school. I already mastered the skills. I'm going to go out into the world and become leaders now.
Right.
And we've got to embrace this potential.
Right.
This potential has always been here. Mm-hmm. So when he was 13, he could have helped you with content generation then. Mm-hmm. When she was 14, she could have been a member of the board helping you with how to package and market to her generation right now. We didn't need a focus group. You had a focus group sitting in your pews bored.
Yeah.
Oh my, that's a
Wow.
mic drop moment. Let me chime in on this thing. I think that when you're talking about leadership and discipleship, I really think that we as a church, especially the older that we get, we need to check our egos, because what's really holding up the progress is us.
Right.
We want to be in control of everything, and then we think that they have to pass a certain type of standard before they can even try to do something. No, I mean, we went through a process. We have to allow them to go through the process as well. And yes, that does mean I will never forget. Several years ago, probably over 10 years ago, I was sitting in a church business meeting, and there were three kids, alpha. Well, they wouldn't be alpha as deemed back then, but the point is they were younger kids. They were sitting in the church business meeting. They were baptized in the church. Now, according to our understanding of baptism, when you are baptized, you become a member of the church. You have voting rights. You have
Well,
vote. I'm going to say that one more time. You have
well.
voting rights when you become a baptized member of the church, no matter what your age is. So you have these kids sitting in a church business meeting, and we're taking a vote over a building project.
Disenfranchised.
Well, wow.
And so these kids decide that they want to participate in the vote. And so the vote, because they raise their hands, ends up going into a direction that some of the members really don't want to go into, because the kids are voting too. And so they're upset. They're like, well, we don't believe that kid that they're too young to understand. Well, no, because we took the time to introduce them to Jesus. We can take the time to introduce them to even this matter. So no, we're not going to dismiss their vote just because they're young. No, what we will do is we can help them to understand the conversation that's being presented before the church body, so that they can make an informed decision. And let me tell you something that I'm learning with my kids is they are looking for opportunities to kind of be grown ups. So in order for them to be grown ups, they have to have that experience, and we have to teach them and train them. It's possible, but we got to move our egos out of the way.
That is so true.
Wow.
That is so true. When I received a call from one side of the country to the other, I actually sat my son down and I actually gave him an opportunity to be a part of the decision. And I shared that with my mother, who is much older, older than me, a Buster or Boomer or whatever. And she said to me, she would have never thought about asking the child to be in on that kind of a decision. And it blew my mind, because I'm thinking, well, that's how shouldn't we have included our children in the family planning, or in what happens or matters to the family. And I think that is something very unique about this generation, is that not only should we do it for this generation, but this generation is asking that they be a part of the discussion.
I remember there was a ministry event that I had at my church. My children, they're Generation Z, but they were like 9 or 8 or so. And I sat down with them and said, so what should I do? And they said, yeah, you need to get snacks for them. I said, snacks? Why do I need snacks? He said, Daddy, kids like snacks. Get snacks. So they have something to say, and I love it. Said they're leaders. We got to put them in a position where they are able to give us their perspective on a particular way. I love this. I love it.
Yes.
Let me also say that I think that I don't know where this phobia came from of younger people, but if we look at the Bible, biblically speaking, God used a whole lot of young people. I don't know where we think that you have to be Father Abraham's age and old as Moses, but the reality is that God was not afraid of calling and equipping and using young people. And if we're wanting to be a biblical church, then we need to not be afraid as well.
Wow.
That is true. That is true.
Look, hold on. Go ahead, Pierre.
Let me just make one more comment, riding off of what Pastor Tina shared. Are we afraid that they are going to change things? Because if they are going to change things, that's a good thing. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Listen, each of my co-hosts got to tell a story. I got to tell one too. I'm going to redeem some of Tina's time. She left off the front. Listen, I was getting ready to do an evangelistic meeting, and I was waiting for my adult personal ministries team to come and to have our meeting. During that time, my little kids are running around. It's after potluck, and parents are getting nervous about what are we going to do with the kids. So I call those kids in the room, and I start having my evangelism meeting with those kids. I sit down and say, hey, look, we're getting ready to have a meeting. It's going to be this. Here's what I'm preaching every night, and I need some titles for my sermons. And so I started giving those kids, this is the story, because the evangelistic series, I was doing a story. I don't remember what it was, but we were doing a story. And I said, here's the story. I need a title for this sermon. And out of that thing, I think out of the 12 nights, I got about 7 sermon titles from those kids. And now because those kids were a part of the process, they were anxious to show up, to invite their friends, all that kind of stuff. Mom, it's time to go. We got to go. And so it's valuable. Just engaging them has crazy value.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So listen, from your research, your observations, I'm talking to our guests here, what seems to be the priority of the parents of alphas? We know that this age group, they don't turn their key, they don't drive themselves, some of them don't make those major decisions. So it's the parents. What are the priorities of the parents of the alpha when it comes to things like church, faith, Christian education? What are some of the priorities?
Those priorities, and I think, Tina, you mentioned it yesterday, the priorities may still be the same, but the situation right now is so totally different. Right now, a lot of parents are just surviving on a thread, just trying to do their work and their homeschool work and their housework and all the work. They're just trying to get it all done and still have an intact family at the end of the day. So that has changed a lot, hasn't it, during this COVID time?
In my observation, one of the biggest areas of concern is in social skills. So my son taught himself. We didn't teach him. My son taught himself to play Angry Birds at 19 months. He grabbed the phone, and I was playing with it. And I put the phone down, and I went to do something. I came back, and he's messing with it. I'm like, oh, okay, it'll occupy him for a while. No, it occupied him for over an hour till he figured it out, and he hasn't put a device down since. Now that's cool, but here's the thing. He went from that to getting a tablet. He's reading on the tablet. He's watching videos on the tablet. To he's doing Bible studies on the tablet. He's being babysat by the tablet. He then graduated from that to now he's going to school on the tablet. His entire existence is through a blue screen. And to the point where this year, when we shut down the world in March, his interaction with his friends the last 7 months has been through the tablet.
Yeah.
And so the social skills he's supposed to, because they change every day at this age. He's 11. They're changing all the time. There's skills that he has to learn about dealing with rejection and dealing with choosing friends and how to manage all of those. He's not learning that because we interact through that. So one of my chief concerns is his social skills. Where's he going to get that from? You can wave to your friend, but there's no play dates. There's no going to the park. All of that's gone. All of the skills that we learned as a result. Those things we've got to teach them in other ways. The family has gotten closer, but you still got to go back out into this world, and you have to have mastered those skills if you're going to do well out there. And the mental health impact of this is it's a major concern.
Yes. I would add to that. For me, my concern is Okay. So I'm pushing 40, and speaking to Pastor Francois's point about them being babysit by the tablet, I'm thinking to myself, y'all got to learn how to use your brains, be creative. Like, where there's still got to be that element of, don't be afraid that when you walk outside, you see a bunny rabbit, don't freak out. It's just part of regular life. You got to still have some life skills. You still got to be able to use your brain to figure out things. And so I worry about their level of just uh natural thinking, creativity. Naturally, yes, they can be creative in other ways, but not to neglect their natural capacities to be and exist and process in life apart from technology.
Yes, that reminds me, Tina, of something that I saw not long ago. This scavenger hunt game that you can purchase, and the whole premise of it is to go in your backyard and find these different things. And boy, yeah, get the kids outside and experiencing outside. But you're right, Pierre. We do have something of grave concern right now, which is the mental health of our children, and that's just being exploded all over the internet right now. Is how do parents deal with that? But more than that too is, how do parents deal with children who are having mental health issues, but how do children deal with their parents who are having mental health issues?
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's a crazy world we live in, and what a blessing and opportunity it is for us in the ministry to be able to grapple with these things and to be able to discipleship and to mentor our parents and our kids.
Yeah, that's serious, because I mean, as pastors, we're going to get up in the pulpit and tell children to obey your parents in the Lord, and to honor your father and thy mother. And some of their fathers and mothers are just I mean, they are falling off the edge, and that kids are looking at you like, you don't know my mama,
right?
You know,
Right?
And that's So listen. So let's. I want to ask this next question. From the perspective of somebody like me, who's a pastor or a children's ministry leader, one of the biggest challenges that often we find is that from the church perspective, when it comes to programming for spiritual things for kids, we are planning programs, planning events, and we don't even oftentimes know if the children want to be there, because we can't motivate the parents to bring them.
Right. Right.
So you've got Pathfinder directors having Pathfinders every Sunday, and you've got one kid showing up or two kids showing up. One is their grandkid, one is their niece or nephew, but they can't get their millennial parents or even almost Zer parents, millennial parents, to bring them. What is it? So what is it that seems to either be working or not working at motivating parents to engage their children in spiritual things?
I'll jump in. So in my conference, the best children's pastor we have by I just bar none is Pastor Mark Raphael, and he is the associate pastor at the Oakwood University Church. I think what makes him stand out and as well as he does is because he really he put, like what we talked at the beginning about, there's a lot of effort and intentionality, resources, and he's speaking their language. I think there's a lot of times where we claim that things are for kids, but they're really just, they look like kids, but they're talking to us. But the things that he does are specifically designed. He's speaking their language. He's making it look the way that they're accustomed to seeing things, and there's a budget behind it. And so when I think as a parent,
wait. There's a what?
As a parent?
No. You said there was something. You said there was something behind it.
The B word.
The budget.
Oh, yes.
The B word.
Yes,
okay.
Budget. Yeah. So there's money that he's being given in order to do the things that he's doing. And so as a parent, when I see that he's able to do things, he's doing it with intentionality, with creativity, in a way that speaks and minister to kids, and they get excited about that. They're excited, so they're going to annoy me, and I gotta get them up because they want to go. And I think that oh Lord, I'm having a moment where I'm rambling as a pastor, and I don't even know where I'm going with what I'm saying. Have mercy. This is Sabbath afternoon stuff.
Why?
So,
So,
I'll jump in. I'll jump in and finish
Thank
it.
you.
I'll jump
Save
in.
me. Save me,
Okay.
somebody.
Pierre, as
We
soon as
have to
you're done,
take the
I too will jump
inspiration,
in.
put the energy, the effort, and the
Yes.
resources behind it to make it happen,
There
and
you
not
go.
just assume that a
Yes.
warm body in the position
That's right.
with the title equals
Yes.
a relevant minister, or
Yes.
just doing something does
Yeah.
not equate to being effective.
Yes.
We've got to do the research. We actually have to understand the task before us. A class I took not too long ago said we underestimate simple tasks. The tasks seem simple because we said it in one brief statement, but when we actually break it down, we realize there are all of these requirements that have to be met in order for us to confidently say we did this. And when we apply that to children's ministries, that's the way we need to view this. Children's ministries is not a babysitting service. It is an actual ministry to the future leaders of our church and our world.
Right.
And
That's
if
right.
we really embrace how precious this opportunity is, we won't be so nonchalant about it.
I have to be honest with you. I was excited about Children's Ministries prior to being a Children's Ministries leader right now. But now that I'm a Children's Ministries leader, my eyes are like wide open. It's more than just lower grade Sabbath school. It's more than just doing children's story at the 11 o'clock hour. It's more than just having a Christian a school attached to your church where you can teach the younger ones. There's a lot that goes into children's ministries that is, I think, even more intense than adult ministry. You know, and I think we sometimes miss that because we think, they're kids, they don't need this, they don't need that. But there is more to it. There's more to this. What are some of the things as we are sharing here? What we talked about budget and resources, but how can a church that don't have any children's ministries, how can they get something going?
Wow.
Oh, go ahead.
So I just wanted to circle back. Roger, that's a great question. And I just want to circle back and then come back to that. And Tina, you were mentioning it, and Pierre too. I have watched several of Pastor Raphael's Oaktown, and I've seen Graceville, which is another one. And what one common denominator that they have is that they value their children.
Yes.
They verbally express that value, and they give their kids a voice.
Yes.
So that they can be heard.
Yes.
And as a parent, if you value my child and you say it from up front how much how much you value them, you bet I'll be there. I will be there. So it's almost like taking, you take the child by the hand, and then you have the parent by the heart. And so, yes, we need to give our kids a voice and value what they say and appreciate them very much. Now, back to your question, Pastor Wade. I already forgot what the question was. I got so excited. Our kids.
Well, we talked about ministry, but we have a lot of churches that may not have a children's ministries program. What are some of the things we can do to begin to have a children's ministries program in those churches? Any ideas, any suggestions?
That's a good question, because I'll be honest with you, I don't have a children's ministry at my church. The only children at my church are my children. And so I'm trying to figure that out myself. I know that for my kids, they run, prior to COVID, they were running the camera. My daughter would be a part of the worship service, but outside of that, and just trying to do things like harvest festivals and things that might appeal. But I know that for me, practically, I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yes, I believe that. You just mentioned a few things there, Tina, and this was great. Is that we do definitely need to focus on the family. And I don't say that promoting focus on the family production. I really mean it. We need to focus on our families. And because the kids, you know, to have a children's ministry, you've got to have the adults bringing the kids, and you've got to have the adults as the volunteers, or the young adults, or the, you know, the older teenagers. So it is a definitely family focus.
So if you intend on having a successful children's ministry, in my opinion, you can't do so with a lackluster adult discipleship ministry. I'm the one bringing the child to your church. And if you can't connect with me, I'm not coming.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Or you're going to come and drop them off. Maybe.
Or my parents are going to come and drop them off.
Yeah.
So I think there's an assumption. There's an assumption that if we have a great children's ministry, the adults will come. Yes, if there's a great children's ministry and a great adults ministry, we all will come.
That's right.
Because I want to be fed too. Here's my own personal young person gripe. I don't feel like we reach my generation effectively. And if I one day wake up and I'm 40 something and I've got kids and I've got a career and responsibilities and I don't know the Bible and I consider myself a mature Christian, but there are all these principles and skills of Christianity that I don't have, and I don't have a grapple on my own strongholds, and I don't have a grapple on my own spiritual discipline, and now I feel guilty that I have not instilled that into my child. Well, I can't instill what I don't have.
Right.
And so I need to be I'm telling you, I need to be discipled. When you start discipling me, then I actually have a skill after hours to give to my child.
Absolutely.
Wow.
That's huge.
So that's interesting that to actually minister to the alpha generation, we need to minister to the Gen Xers. That's kind of what you're saying, right?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yes.
And the millennials.
Xers, millennials, late or the oldest Gen Zers that are having babies. Yep.
David Hunt says #lazy adult ministries kill #awesome children's ministries. Wow. Wow.
Hey, that says a lot for. So let me ask this question. We're in a contemporary culture. What are some of the impacts? You know, I saw a few comments that came up on the chat that talked about not having the marketers and the sociologists are the ones who are really preparing to teach our children. What is the real impact on some of the contemporary culture on the alpha generation? This is a generation that we think we're protecting. Granted, we did talk about the fact that they are getting the input from the screens that they have in their hands, but what are some other cultural things that are happening that impact this generation?
Well, definitely the race relations happening in this country. Our kids are sure enough being affected by that. I told this story last night and I'll tell it again. I think that I'm watching the news and keeping myself informed just on the basis of being an informed human in this country. But my daughter in particular is, she's paying attention, and I'll never forget, I got pulled over in Tennessee for my tinted windows. That's literally what I got pulled over for. I wasn't speeding. I didn't have expired tags. I got pulled over because my windows were tinted. When the officer pulled me over, and came to my window, my daughter had a strong visceral reaction because the police officer is white. And so her first thought, she started to have a meltdown. And her response surprised me because I'm like, what's wrong with you? And she was like, oh my God, we're going to die. And I was like, Olivia, we're fine. She's like, no, he's a white police officer. We are black people, and white officers kill black people. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I got to multi-manage my daughter who is believing that she's about to lose her life, and then a police officer really pulling me over for no reason, which may lend to part of her point. But she's frantic. I'm stressed. I don't know what the officer is thinking, but it let me know that she's paying attention to, she's watching what's happening on the news, and she's finding herself being discouraged by the fact that not only are people who look like her dying at the hands of officers, but there's no justice. And when you have no justice, you have no hope. And it doesn't matter how many times I say to her, listen, I'm here. I'm right here.
Wow.
He hasn't shot me. He hasn't shot you. He hasn't shot anybody. It doesn't matter how many times I say that to her. The reality is she's seeing it on the news. It's being perpetuated everywhere. And this is the type of environment that they're growing up in a climate where there is no justice, where their skin color is problematic, and they're trying to process and rationalize, how do I make sense of this? Do I belong here? Am I even safe here?
And Pastor Tina, how old is she again?
She's 9. She just turned 9.
Wow.
One of the hardest things as a parent was when I realized I had to shut off the TV from the news, and I had to manage whenever he was on a device. I had to be present when he was on a device, because this was during the time. This is after the whole Trayvon Martin shooting. Then there was like a cascade of all of these violent videos, whether it's police or whether it was just people attacking people. And these videos were nonstop. And to watch his innocence ripped from him because he's looking at, he asked me, why are the police? Why would the police do? And I'm like, whoa, well, you can't even begin to understand this concept. And I'm trying not to emotionally react, because now I'm weeping on the inside, because now I've got to teach you. All this time, the police were the hero. The firefighter is the hero. The Army serviceman is a hero. You follow what I'm saying? And now I've got to tell you, beware. And I wasn't ready to tell a 7-year-old to beware. You follow what I'm saying? So now, because of this, the world that they live in, they're drawing conclusions immediately based on the images that are pervading the screen.
Yes, and one of the things that I tried to help my daughter understand, especially when I realized that, okay, even though I don't show them this stuff, somehow they're still picking up on it. I said, Olivia, I got pulled over and nothing happened, and we're able to drive home. She said, yes, that happened one time, but that doesn't happen every time. And it's the every time that is a concern for her.
Yeah. So that brings up another question that I think, just the exposure now to contemporary culture. Contemporary culture is a little different than for this generation from other generations. How do you talk to a parent who is struggling with the amount of exposure that they give to their child just to the contemporary culture at large? I mean, years ago, I grew up in a house where my dad wanted a TV because he wanted to watch the news and football. Wink, wink. And mom didn't want the TV in the house, period, at all, because this was, how old am I? This is 40-something years ago, that she didn't want us exposed to contemporary culture through that avenue back then. What kind of an impact is contemporary culture having on our kids now? And how would you counsel a parent that's struggling with how much, how little, how do they censor that? How do they meet that, allow their kids to be exposed to it? Nobody wants to go.
I mean, that's the $1 million question.
Right.
My son is in a Seventh-day Adventist school, and in his sixth grade class, they are having political debates during their downtime, not structured debates in the classroom. These are kids, and they're arguing from their various points of view of culture they have inherited through whatever means, and they're arguing, and they are staunch about them, and they're arguing over lifestyle and tolerance, and they're arguing over. I'm talking about legit, where he's getting in the car and he's a little upset because he didn't get to finish making his point and convincing the other side. And so the reality is they're wrestling with this stuff for real. They're exposed to it. I mean, you could shut off all the TVs and stuff that you want, but once they interact with each other, the culture is right there. The issues that they're processing this stuff right now. How it affects them, we can have a long discussion over. But just as someone wrote in the chat earlier, we have to take control of the narrative, yea, even bring up the subject before they learn about it and draw their own conclusion on that information.
So, it's still true. This was true more than 10 years ago, and it's still true today that the parent has the biggest influence on the children. And so, so here we are back again, is that it's important for us to I don't want to say it again, to have focus on the family. It is important for us to be there to mentor those young parents so that the influence that they do have on their children is solid spiritual foundation. But you know what? When that question was first asked, Pastor Wade, it was like crickets. And Tina, you were right. That is the $1 million question. How can we help a family navigate through all of this stuff that's coming at our children? And it's coming. It is already here and coming on them. And they're hearing it and seeing it. How do we help parents navigate through all of that? Yes, that is the question.
I think some of it has to do with even how we, I may be answering my own question, but how we as adults deal with it. I think sometimes we think there's a magic way to shield our kids. I think, and especially in the Adventist church, we are good at trying to shield our kids. We shield them by putting them in the school, sending them away to boarding school, trying to, keep them in church all day long. We do a lot of things trying to shield them. And sometimes that shielding, from a kid's point of view, can become the trigger that forces them to want to learn more or know more about it.
Pandora's box. Yeah, you've got that in our culture context. We tend to have that one parent who wants to take their kids, move out into the country, homeschool them, make sure that they're at all of their kids' events. There's no sleepovers, there's no visits, there's no nothing that. And then the other one who just says, nah, they got to learn it sometime, so they might as well learn it now. So they're going to expose them to everything. They're going to sit down with the kid and watch the rated R movie with all the all the stuff in there. They're going to do that. And they said, as long as I'm with them, then I can guide them and talk to them about it. And you seem to have very polar responses to this question. Is there a middle ground? Should there be a middle ground? Is that just or as a church, is that just something we say, well, that's between the parent and God? Is there some kind of direction that or counsel that we would give to those parents?
Oh. Wow.
We're back to the $1 million question.
Yes, yes, we are. Because you're actually stepping on a lot of toes there just with that question. Because there are some really great homeschooling parents out there, and that would argue a different way, and other parents that insist that their kids need to go to public school, and that is the $1 million question.
Yeah, and it makes sense because there's no manual for parenting.
Yeah,
right. There's no manual for child rearing, so it's like everything is right in their own eyes, but over the years, especially as we deal with this generation, we need to be mindful that the spirituality of these kids are important, because it is there is a sense of there are some eternal consequences if we are not careful with our kids and how they are exposed to culture, to things that are happening out there. I kind of trying to stay away from the COVID situation because we want to jump on that in the next question. But we need to be mindful that their spiritual life is an important part of their life. And as parents, I tell my son this, and I tell other parents this: I am responsible for my son's spirituality. It's not the school, it's not the church, it's me as a parent, and even as a father. It's even more important that I help to train him, to shape him, and to prepare him to make those spiritual decisions. So let's move to the next question as we get ready to kind of bring this down. In our church, we have ministries such as Adventurers, Podfinders, Children's Ministry, Sabbath School, educational institutions that seem to be doing pretty well, making some adjustments. Some are not. What? Maybe there are other additional ministries out there that are happening. What is it that the church is doing that is working or not, or what is it that's not working when it comes to ministering to the Alpha generation?
Doing nothing is not working.
Wow.
Doing nothing is not working. So, do you feel that the programs we have are they making an impact in the lives of our children?
All right, let me qualify what I said so that it doesn't get its own application in the perspective of many. Because I just ran through a few scenarios. What is he saying? All right, so it's do something. Do something. I think we can't use Oaktown as the minimum standard and think that we have to at least do this or better or don't do anything. God forbid. That cannot be the minimum standard. I think what makes children's ministry powerful is that it's relationship based. My kids don't watch cartoons. I've tried many times. They won't. They think my cartoons are ancient, archaic, and low technology. So they're not going to spend 2 minutes watching it, even though I think they're awesome. So, but what they do like are immersion experiences. That what they do like is explaining, using their current interests. So one of the cool things that I did with my kids, I have not dared to air it yet, was that they like these goofy TikTok videos. Okay, we're going to make a TikTok video and we're going to implement some biblical principles or a Bible character or something like that in there. And so now I'm using something that they would spend time with anyway. But I'm trying to infuse it with the Bible, infuse it with some biblical teaching. We've got to meet them where they are. I think the day of come and get it is over or been over. We've got to go and get them, meet them in their territory, speak their language, use their culture. Yes, they do have a culture, an entire new slang that you and I are not privy to. They have reappropriated a lot of the words we used to use, and it now means something else. And we've got to catch up. We've got to catch up, and we've got to now make sure that saving their souls is the priority, and forwarding our traditional practices and stylings is inconsequential. Because at the end of the day, God doesn't care if you use this way or that way, as long as you found a way to get to Him.
So, just in a nutshell, Pierre, what I heard you say is that we need to know our audience.
Yes.
We need to know our audience really well, and our kids are our audience, and bringing our audience to us as our parents, which reminds me of that book that the Fuller Institute wrote, Roger.
Growing Young?
Growing Young?
Yes. No, Growing With.
Growing With.
Growing With. Great book. It is a great book. If you haven't read it, I highly encourage you to read Growing With. Great book.
Okay. Listen, this thing fascinates me. I know we don't have a lot of time left, but Pierre, as you broached that topic, what's that's spinning in my head is, how do these generations how do they get this way, that they learn this way, that they operate this way? Is it nature or is it nurture? Do they come out of the womb just being predisposed to these the elements of these profiles that we have created to them? Or are these things birthed out of things that the stuff that the parents can't understand about their children? Are they in fact outgrowths of a mimicking of that child's mimicking of something that they saw in their parent? Where does it come from? I mean, because we're talking about kids who are 3, 4, 5 years old who are still displaying some of these characteristics that we say are characteristics of a whole generation. But is it characteristics of that generation, or is it something that they picked up from? It's crazy.
Let me attempt to answer that from an article I read in Forbes magazine. It said each generation is related to the former. The only difference between them is emphasis. They didn't come out with any new characteristic. They just emphasized one that was not emphasized in the latter. And they're, immediately they become distinct and different. And so tolerance was a big thing for millennials. But this next generation is about individual. They're claiming this is going to be the most entrepreneurial generation of all time. Everybody. There's chances are most people will not have a job. They will be contractors. Wow. And they're going to work when they feel like it. They're not interested in earning wealth. They're interested in having experiences, having moments. They're going to go on vacation with the kids. They're going to go to China and not dream about it. They're going to go to Alaska and not dream about it. They're going to do these things because this is what they emphasize. They saw mommy and daddy dream about a trip they never took, dream about retirement that never happened, claim a retirement package that they're going to enjoy one day but never cashed in on. And that's not going to be my life. I'm going to do these things. And that's the anticipation. It's about emphasis. And so what we have been showing them becomes inspiration up or down on what the decisions they make moving forward.
And that's exciting, isn't it, Pierre? That is so, and Pastor Tina, that is so exciting because this generation has that, and added to that technology. And if we can disciple them, they're going to take the gospel around this world in lightning speed.
Yes.
They're going to do it. They are doers of the word.
Wow.
Yes.
This generation, and I just absolutely love that. I'm going to hang on to their coattails.
That's awesome. So listen, so I guess, Roger, are we ready for this soft close, man?
Yeah, we may as well go there.
All right. So we've got parents, we've got teachers, we've got aunties and uncles and grandparents who are trying to raise kids in 2020 in the fear and the admonition of the Lord. They are trying to raise them or trying to train up a child in the way he should go. From your experience, from your expertise, from your observations, from your research even, what are 2 key points from each of you, if you can come up with something, that you would leave as a word of advice or a word of encouragement or even a resource that would help people who are dealing with Gen Alpha come up with at this point? Whoever wants to go first, you can take it.
I will just say again, take this generation outside and just play. Leave the technology inside. Take them outside. Go for a bike ride. Go climb a mountain. Whatever it is. Go canoe on a river. Just take them outside and play.
It's old school. I like it.
Yep.
Good stuff.
They need a break.
Be authentic. Be authentic. They're surrounded by organizations and people who want to take advantage of them, and they will gravitate to that which is authentic, that which is selfless, and that which has their best intentions in heart. They will always come back. I've seen where grandparents will get all of the business that the parents never get out of the children, because grandma is here only for your good. She will keep your secrets. She won't judge you. She'll pray over you. She'll love on you. She'll hug you, even if you're as wrong as two left shoes. But grandma's she's steadfast. And as a result, the grandson always, grandma, this is what I did. Grandma, this is what I'm struggling with. Grandma, this is what I'm thinking about. And you've got to take advantage of this opportunity. If you're an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, a godparent, you're here as in a supportive role. Be the trustworthy person. The minute they detect dishonesty, it's over.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's all about relationship, isn't it? Yeah.
And I'll just piggyback off of the word that Pastor Francois used about support. Our kids need a whole lot of that. And I will say that they are showing us the little bit that they can understand about what they have to offer. When they show you, and if you're paying attention, support whatever it is that they're doing. Move out the way and let them do their thing. And they will grow and mature. They'll either A, it'll be a waste of time, or B, they'll move on to something else. But we have to move ourselves out the way and allow them the room to grow and try and be and exist in this world just as we had to.
Yeah.
Interesting. Some of our comments that are coming through, very good comments this week. But when I did my research on the Alpha generation, one of the key things they shared about was, they are very ahead technologically, but they're very behind socially. And they crave that social interaction. And we see that even with COVID right now, that a lot of our alphas, they want to go to school, they want to connect with their friends, they want to, so a social connection, as you were sharing, going outside and playing, and it's key to this generation and helping us to understand and to minister to them.
Amen. All right. Well, listen, we have had just a wonderful discussion. Every time we have one of these discussions, we always know we can't get as deep and as broad as I know a lot of people are wanting information, even more information and resources. So we just want to thank our guests today for your time, for your willingness to come and share the wealth of expertise and knowledge that you do have. We know that you all have other ways that people can get in touch with your ministries and things that you are doing. Elder Francois is the Children's Ministry Director for the Southeastern Conference. We're going to put a link for his ministries, that if you are a part of Florida Southeastern Conference, how you can get in touch with him. Dr. Sherri is at the North American Division. We've got some links and things that we're going to put up on the page. And I don't know if they're up already. They may be up there already. But we are just so grateful, Doc, that you took the time to come and spend that with us here on a Sabbath afternoon at the Pastor's Roundtable. Thank you so much for your contribution to this conversation. We're asking those of you, just watch the group page, watch the page, so that you can find out some of the myriad of resources that are available to your local church children's ministry through the North American Division. And then, Pastor Tina, I actually do have some stuff I want to make our audience aware of that you have in the works. Some really interesting stuff. Our screen is going to have to change for a quick minute here, so I can get to that. All right. Let's see. Tina, this was just very fascinating when I saw, is this the right one? This. You guys are going to get a kick out of this. It's going to look really kind of funky for a minute there. But
yeah,
PK's Preach, Saturday, January 9, 2021. She's not just talking about it, she's being about it. She's got her guest speakers. You guys were in the chat talking about leaders, let them lead. Well, Tina is doing it. She's got guest speakers, and you see their ages there, all of them Gen Alphas. First Adventist Church, the Hill South Atlantic Conference, all of those sponsoring that. Take note of that. Take a screenshot. We're going to put this up on our page as well, so that you have a chance to tune into that. That's coming in January, so she's putting in some prep time to make sure that they are good.
Yeah.
So let me ask this question, Pastor Tina. What led you to do something like this?
Good question.
So what led me to do it is that my daughter has been taking note of the fact that I have a lot of Zoom preaching and Zoom things that I've been doing. And she's like, Mom, what about us? And so every time that I finish with a Sabbath service, my kids put on a kids service for me. And my daughter designated herself as the preacher. And so one day, as I was sitting and she was preaching her sermon to me, I was like, you actually got something going on there. And so she just needs a platform. And, if we give the children the opportunity to lead, they will lead us. And the Bible says that in the last days, his spirit is going to pour out on all flesh. And that includes kids. And that's why I keep saying we have to be willing to move out of the way and let the Holy Spirit use our children, because he is already gifting them. And then so with her, and then there were other PKs that I knew of who were involved in speaking. And so I was like, let's just pull everybody together. Y'all take over the whole virtual service. You preach, you sing, you pray, and we're going to just let the Holy Spirit use you all as he has seen fit.
Amen.
Awesome.
That's phenomenal, phenomenal. Well, listen, there are some other resources we're going to make sure that we put up on the page so that you can track down our guests and see some of the other things that they are engaged in when it comes to ministry to our alphas and children's ministry. Again, we just thank you. I'm seeing the comments in our chat. People are just so thrilled and excited about the content and what they've heard from our guests today. So thank you again so much. This is our generation series. This was part 3. We've got part 4 coming up next week, Roger, and I'm excited about part 4 because part 4 of the generation series is on
You ready now?
I'm ready. Drum roll. Gen Xers in the house. Wow. All right.
Busters, as they're also known. And what is interesting about that's our generation.
No. Yeah, busters are after us. I'm wearing my Dwayne Wayne. What is it? Dwayne Wayne. What's the thing? Oh man. My in living color glasses.
Glasses.
Yeah, my Dwayne Wayne glasses. I'm coming strong. Cosby Kids, all of that. That's Generation Xers. We're going to be with us today. One of our guests that's been in the chat today is going to be with us. He is none other than Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Jorge Torres. He is one of our military chaplains. He's a Gen Xer. He's going to be with us on next week. We've got also, here's the drum roll. Go ahead, Roger.
We have with us the Dr. Myron Edmonds.
Myron Edmonds is going to be with us as a Gen X. Is he a Gen Xer? I need to check his stuff. Is he a millennial? Yeah. All right. But Myron Edmonds is going to be with us on next week. And we've got a mystery guest. Y'all know what that means. When we say mystery guest, that means we haven't nailed that one down yet. So that's cold. So our mystery guest is also going to join that panel on next week. We're excited about that as we talk about the role that Gen X has in engaging the mission of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, the structure of the church. It's going to be a fascinating conversation. Some of you mentioned in the chat today, why didn't we have Roger? Why didn't we have any alphas on the program today? And we talked about it. We wrestled with the idea. We just felt that it would be hard to get a 5-year-old to sit here for an hour and a half to engage the conversation. But yes, we might have to see if we can work that out. But again, thank you all so very much. We are excited about what we heard today. Make sure you stop by the page later on, get some of these resources that will be posted there. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not clicked that little bell so that every time we go live, you will get notice of when we are live here at the Pastors Roundtable. Make sure you join the YouTube group, not just the page. Many of you are following the page, but you haven't joined the group yet. Join the group as we give away those gifts that we'll be giving away at the end of the month. You will not be eligible unless you are a part of that group. So make sure you go ahead and join the Facebook group so that you can get that. Roger, can they see your mic? I have that lower third is covering your mic. That's one of the gifts that we're going to be giving away. Some of you are looking to expand your reach into the virtual space, and how you do that, that's going to be one of those things that we're going to be giving away. So make sure you join that group. One more thing that we want to make you aware of, Pastors Roundtable is sponsoring an event tomorrow in South Florida, part of several organizations that are sponsoring this event. We have been pushing, and many of your pastors and churches and you've been pushing you to vote, to get out there and exercise your right to vote. And one of the things that we want to make sure is that people don't just vote, but they know what they're voting about. And so pastors in Broward County have gotten together, Broward County, Florida, have gotten together and said, we're going to have a live stream on tomorrow afternoon at 5 p.m. where we are going to walk through the ballot, the issues that are on the ballot. Now, we're not telling you what party to vote for or how to vote, but we're going through those 6 statewide issues in the state of Florida. We have a couple of our state senators that are going to be joining us on that live stream. And this is being brought to you by the Adventist Church in Broward County, sponsored by the Quarantine Revival, also sponsored by the Pastors Roundtable. If you have a chance, if you're in Florida, you want to check that out. And we just want to thank the team at Pastors Roundtable for helping to sponsor that. We're looking forward to that. God bless you, everybody. Roger, you're going to take us out.
Yeah, we have one more announcement we need to make.
Yes.
In terms of our timing.
Oh, right.
As we know, the sun is setting earlier. And so we at the Pastors Roundtable, we actually had a brawl, a fight. We were trying to figure out what should we do? Should we move it? Should we not move it? And so we just want to let you know that at the beginning of November, we will actually be starting 1 hour earlier. We know that many churches are going to be moving their services to be begin earlier to take into account of the Sabbath, ending earlier. So we thought we will do the same thing here at the Pastors Roundtable. So we will begin on November I think it's the 7th. We will begin at 3 p.m. Eastern. 3 p.m. Eastern, that would mean 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, and noon out in the Pacific. So pray for us as we make that adjustment. Please put that in your calendar so you do not miss when the Pastors Roundtable starts in November, when we start at 3 o'clock. Because here at the Pastors Roundtable, we aim to help you keep ministry relevant,
resourced,
and real.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.